Welcome to I Love Asian Dramas. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel to get notified when new videos are uploaded. The title of this Korean historical romantic comedy drama is My Sassy Girl from SBS with 32 episodes. The series starts with a protest aiming to overthrow the queen on allegations that the child she's carrying does not belong to the king. The king's uncle is accused by Commander Jeong, a corrupt official, of plotting to take the throne, and tragically ends up perishing in a fire. Meanwhile, Gyeon Woo, a charming scholar, seeks permission from the Qing Emperor to return to Joseon and is granted approval. Upon his return, Gyeon Woo promptly reports to the Joseon king and is hailed as a national treasure. On his way home, Gyeon Woo rescues the drunk Princess Haimyong, a sassy princess, from a potentially disastrous fall off a bridge. Princess Haimyong got very drunk and passed out. Fortunately, Gyeon Woo was there to help her, but when he tried to clean the princess's dirty clothes, he was wrongly suspected of sexual assault and ended up in prison. Officer Kang, an inspector who protects the princess, warned her not to climb over the palace wall again. Meanwhile, Jang Do-yoon, the spoiled daughter of Minister Jeong, was browsing for a nice accessory at a store. She unexpectedly ran into Gyeon Woo. They decided to catch up at a restaurant because they hadn't seen each other for a long time. However, their meeting was cut short when the princess accused Gyeon Woo of stealing her jade ring. She frantically searched through a pile of dirty clothes for the lost ring, but it was nowhere to be found. Eventually, the king caught the princess climbing over the palace wall, and she received a stern reprimand from her father. Gyeon Woo was appointed by the king to teach the young prince. When the young prince introduced his new teacher to his sister, they were surprised to see each other again because they had already met several times outside the palace. The princess went to the gangster's place to look for her missing jade ring, but it wasn't there. Princess Haimyong stole the debt ledger because she was feeling sorry for the people who were being harassed by the gangster. When the gangster discovered that the ledger was missing, he ordered his men to capture them. Fortunately, the prince's bodyguard managed to save them. The princess then burned the ledger. Later, Gyeon Woo learned that the jade ring had been given to Daeun by his sister. He immediately went to Daeun's place to retrieve the ring, but he failed. Gyeon Woo eventually received the jade ring back from Daeun. Gyeon Woo's friends play the game of the king at the Lantern Festival. The game involves picking a stick, and the person who selects the loser stick must follow the king's command. It's all about luck, and the goal is to pick the king's stick to win. During the game, the princess picked the loser stick, meaning she had to obey Gyeon Woo's command as the winner. Gyeon Woo asked the princess to shout out loudly that she is crazy and obsessive, or else she had to leave. Then the princess embarrassingly shouted, which flustered Gyeon Woo. In the next round, Gyeon Woo lost and the princess as the new king teased him. The princess was later abducted, but Gyeon Woo rescued her. When the king received a message that his child was in danger, he hurriedly returned to the palace. Luckily, both of his children were safe. The princess was delighted when Gyeon Woo returned the lost jade ring to her, but she was also worried about him because he had been injured while saving her. The princess eunuch and bodyguard were being punished by the queen for letting the princess leave the palace. When the princess decided to take the punishment on their behalf, the queen dowager intervened, persuading the queen to be lenient and let it go. Gyeon Woo had to comply with his mother's desires by going on multiple blind dates. The king confined the princess to her quarters for defying his father's commands. It turns out the princess has been sneaking out of the palace due to her supposed meeting with Min Hyu Hwan, who informed her that her mother is still alive and gave her the jade ring that belonged to her mother. Gyeon Woo offers the princess fermented skate, and she eats it. When Gyeon Woo caught the princess outside the palace, he decided to let her go as he believed she needed to meet Min Hyu Hwan, whom he assumed was the princess' lover. However, when Gyeon Woo learned that Min Hyu Hwan was a wanted person, he became worried about the prince's safety and rushed to find her. Just when the princess was almost killed by one of Commander Jeong's men, Officer Kang arrived and saved her. When the princess was almost caught by the assassin, Gyeon Woo came to her rescue. He then took her to his home, where his family found out about her presence in his bedroom. Meanwhile, the queen discovered that the princess was missing from the palace. Fortunately, Gyeon Woo and his father had already informed the king about the situation. The king sent a letter to his daughter, advising her to contemplate her actions while staying at Gyeon Woo's place. The princess was appreciative of Gyeon Woo's unceasing assistance, but she was too shy to tell him so. It was evident that the princess was starting to develop feelings for Gyeon Woo. Later at the market, the princess was visibly flustered when she encountered Min Hyu Hwan. Unfortunately, Min Hyu Hwan was captured and killed by the assassin. Throughout the night, the princess tirelessly searched for Min Hyu Hwan, unaware of his tragic fate. The king, visiting his daughter at Gyeon Woo's place, informed her that she could return to the palace. The queen dowager suggested to the king that he should find a husband for the princess so she could have someone to rely on, but the king was hesitant about the idea. Devastated by Min Hyu Hwan's death, the princess lost hope of ever finding her mother. At their usual meeting spot, Gyeon Woo found a letter that Min Hyu Hwan had left for the princess, warning her to be cautious of Minister Jeong. Upon her return to the palace, she witnessed the ministers urging the king to strip her of her title as princess. Minister Jeong made a threat to the king, saying that the only way to prevent the princess' dethronement was to punish Master Gyeon and arrange a marriage between the princess and the prince of the Qing dynasty. The princess, hoping to uncover information about her mother's dethronement, searched a state records office but found no written records for that year. The princess finally confessed to her father why she always leaves the palace, and she also told him that she believes her mother is still alive. As a result, the king was flustered by the news. The Qing Prince arrived at the palace to propose marriage to the princess and was warmly received. Princess Haimyang accompanied the Qing Prince on an excursion outside the palace with Gyeon Woo serving as their interpreter. The Qing Prince and Gyeon Woo engaged in a shooting game, and both emerged victorious, earning rewards. The Qing Prince reward was presented to the princess, while Gyeon Woo discreetly kept his. While enjoying spicy chicken feet, the princess became intoxicated and had to be carried home by the Qing Prince. The young prince without permission ventured into the sauce storage, causing a commotion. Gyeon Woo discovered the young prince in tears, expressing his reluctance to bid farewell to his sister for Qing. At a place for making wishes, the Qing Prince divulged his desire to spend the rest of his life with the princess. However, Gyeon Woo, consumed by jealousy, was reluctant to translate for the princess. The Qing Prince is planning to propose to the princess again, this time using the Joseon language. He also presents a gift to the young prince and assures him that he will take care of and love her sister. The prince's bodyguard was discovered by Minister Jeong while lurking in his place. Consequently, she was captured by Minister Jeong. To ensure her safety, Minister Jeong instructed the princess to go to Qing without resistance, and the princess had no choice but to comply. Gyeon Woo finally confessed his feelings to the princess and kissed her passionately. Gyeon Woo presented a special fan from the Qing Emperor to the Qing Prince as a symbol of being granted a wish. He used this opportunity to ask the prince to call off the marriage. Surprisingly, the Qing Prince granted his wish and has decided to leave Joseon. Meanwhile, the princess, as part of her punishment from the Queen Dowager, volunteers at the clinic and puts in diligent effort. When Daeun visited the clinic, she falsely claimed to the princess that she was getting married to Gyeon Woo, which made the princess upset. To calm her down, Gyeon Woo reassured the princess and hugged her. Later, the princess's bodyguard informed her about finding the maid from 10 years ago. Eager to meet the maid, the princess was prohibited by Gyeon Woo due to potential danger. Gyeon Woo took it upon himself to meet the maid instead. Surprisingly, it turns out that the maid was the deposed queen and the princess's mother. The princess was disappointed when Gyeon Woo told her that there was no progress in finding her mother's whereabouts. So she decided to visit the temple to speak with the maid, only to find out that the maid was no longer there. Meanwhile, the ghost mask was distributing flyers claiming that Minister Jeong held more power than the king. This greatly angered Minister Jeong, and people started speculating that the ghost mask was actually Prince Chosong, the king's late uncle, who had been framed by Minister Jeong and perished in a fire years ago. In the midst of this, Gyeon Woo received a call from his father, who informed him that they were planning to resign from their positions in the palace. However, Gyeon Woo expressed his objection and told his father that he loved the princess and intended to marry her. A new set of flyers has been circulating, claiming that the deposed queen had an affair with Prince Chosung. This has led to widespread speculation. While trying to protect the ghost mask, Gyeon Woo got injured and started recalling his childhood memories. Fortunately, Officer Kang and his team caught the assassin. In Gyeon Woo's flashback, he witnessed the calligrapher's death who had copied the deposed queen's handwriting. He realized then that the queen had been framed. Moreover, he possesses a brush containing a hidden message given to him by the calligrapher before he died. Minister Jeong struck a deal with Gyeon Woo's father, offering to marry his daughter to Gyeon Woo. To set things right, Gyeon Woo delivered the secret letter given to him by the calligrapher to the king. The letter exposed the current queen for framing the deposed queen. Gyeon Woo confessed to the king that he was behind the defaming flyers about the blind mother, causing the king great distress. The king interrogated the current queen and nearly executed her for the framing, but Minister Jeong intervened. Minister Jeong then ordered the current queen to shift the blame onto Minister Gyeon, accusing him of masterminding the entire plot. Minister Gyeon and Gyeon Woo were interrogated for alleged treason. The princess visited Gyeon Woo and expressed her unforgiveness for his actions, which left him deeply saddened. Meanwhile, the current queen's escape plan was betrayed by Minister Jeong, leading her to tragically end her life by jumping off a cliff. During the chaos, the ghost mask attempted to attack Minister Jeong, who unknowingly fell into a trap, revealing himself to be Prince Yun-sung. An attempt on Prince Yun-sung's life by Minister Jeong was prevented when he was shot by an arrow. Minister Jeong was ambushed and overpowered by a group of men wearing ghost masks, and before his demise he admitted to all his wrongdoings. His associates faced consequences and Yeon's status was reduced to that of a servant. Prince Yun-sung was reinstated by the king. The princess was overwhelmed upon reuniting with her mother. Her mother assured her that Gyeon Woo is a kind person who truly loves her. Gyeon Woo bid farewell to his friends as he prepared to depart for Jeonju. Officer Kang informed the princess that Gyeon Woo was leaving for Jeonju. In response, the princess decided to meet Gyeon Woo and persuaded him not to go. Although Gyeon Woo proposed to the princess, she rejected him, as she was determined to go to Qing to pursue her dream of studying medicine. The series concluded with the princess returning from Qing and telling Gyeon Woo that they would get married. Thank you for watching.